Throughout where? Throughout the day?
Exactly.
Throughout the day, Baba was cheerful, but about bedtime he called Doctor upstairs and complained of burning fever. On feeling his pulse, Doctor found a little fever, but not, he said, enough to explain the extreme heat of Baba's face and chest. Baba told him that this sickness was quite different from the last one, and that there was much pain in his knees and feet. A dazed look came over his face, and he started muttering incoherently. The great heat, despite the open windows, turned to chills, and after telling Doctor to cover him up carefully, Baba told him to go. In the morning, the following was found on the notice board. For the whole night, fever was my strict companion. Tell me now, how with sleepless nights, being still weak from last illness, and this fever, all three combined, how can I hope to avoid the fated sickness that has begun its attack? Merwan. That meant, as Doctor said, that the fever greatly developed during the night when they all were asleep under their mosquito nets. At breakfast, Baba told them that he had actually cried in the night, and Gustaji confirmed this, saying that he had seen Baba crying. Baba added that he wished that the nights he was passing through should not fall to the lot of even an enemy. Baba again referred in the afternoon the subject of his illness. When Sadashiv Patil was present, he said that this illness was the third in which he had cried. He also said that in all he would die 28 deaths for the circle in this way, and each time he would cry. The present fever was for Patil, who was always suffering from fevers. From this, it was concluded that the two previous ordeals were for Gustaji and Bua Sahib. Baba said that the next batch for whom he would have to fall sick would include Doctor, whose number was perhaps the fifth or sixth. But after a little consideration, Baba said that the doctor's name was 17th in the circle, and hence very important, especially in this respect, that the one with this number always remained with the master, even after realization. The next 3 or 4 illnesses would be a bit troublesome, but after that, they lessen in severity a great deal. After some time, the subject of blessings and curses came up for discussion. Baba said that a Sadguru neither blesses nor curses, he works. Saints and Mahatmas bless. Their words simply bring about the desired result. Baba then explained the difference between worldly joys and divine bliss. He said that an ocean of worldly joys was merely the shadow of a single drop from the ocean of bliss. It was for this reason that the Sadguru is addressed as Sat Chit Anand. In the evening, Baba again became very restless, and in the night was heard muttering, "They are beating and torturing me." This reminded one of them of Baba's once saying that he was likely to suffer at the hands of some advanced yogis and Mahatmas. Patil went on to Sakori. In the morning, Baba had photos of Maharaj and Sai Baba sent to him. Adi's continued attendance at college was discussed at length, and it was settled that he should remain with Baba. In the evening, Baba played a game of drafts with Ramju. Although he played in an offhand manner, Ramju was swept off the board. A discussion took place as to who was the best player among the Mandali, but the issue remained undecided between Jal, Bajiftar, and Ramju. Baba said that if he were to put his mind to it, he could beat any expert or champion. Doctor asked him what he meant by putting his mind to it, and Baba gave the following short discourse. One who is the slave of his mind belongs to the ordinary run of human beings. One who conquers his mind, but at the same time is overpowered by it, is called a masjub, while one who is advanced on the path of truth belongs to the spiritual planes. The first is a worldly state of mind, and the second is a godly state of mind, that is, a state of mind that has divinity manifested in it. But the Sadguru or Salik takes his stand apart from all beings and can experience and enjoy all states of mind whenever he wishes. A Sadguru is rarely required to put his mind into things of the world, though sometimes he does so for the sake of his circle. As an example, the residents of Kamatipura are subjects of His Majesty King George. But does His Majesty know anything about Kamatipura, whether such a place exists, let alone about individual people there? If, however, he does wish to know something about this village or even about a particular resident, he can be furnished with the information in no time through the different departments and services of his government, the post office, wireless, secret service, and so on. Similarly, a salik can reach to the very source of anything and everything he cares to know, that is, puts his mind to. Generally, he does not do so. The interest he seems to take in things which belong to the world is off-handed. However serious it may appear to others, he simply does things as they occur to him, almost mechanically without thinking about it. The compound was now like a billiard table, and Baba took a few rounds of it on Asma's newly purchased bicycle. Asma's proper name was Kodadad K. Irani. He suffered from asthma, and one day Baba started calling his asthma and told the mandali to always call him that. Since renaming, he had been completely free from the disease. During the afternoon, a Mr. Jehangir Moose was announced, and Baba said he wanted to be alone with him. He was the first Bombay Parsi to come. In the evening, a notice was put up on the board. None except Asma himself should ride his bicycle. Remind me tomorrow evening at 7 to tell you the wonder of Jehangir Moose's case, Merwan. After supper, Baba discoursed at length on the subject of yoga study and mukti. The important points are here recorded. A yogi, even if he attains the highest yogic state, does not reach freedom, mukti, because he still has the sanskaras or impressions of his mind to finish up. Sanskaras mean the impressions left behind after doing any action, good or bad. Even a thought creates a sanskara. Talking, hearing, thinking, seeing, eating, sleeping, etc. In fact, even subtle movements cause sanskaras, which have to be experienced without let-up, and with mechanical exactness, unless removed root and branch by a master's grace or nazar. Our present existence, with all its related experiences of pain and pleasure, virtue and sin, are the result of our past sanskaras, or amal, as Muslims call it. The very breath we breathe, the eyelid we twitch, the finger we lift, are all due to past impressions. Our present existence is the mere unfoldment of past subtle impressions in gross form. And again, it is our present gross actions that create more impressions, and so on. A good word or action has its good result, compressed into an impression. And a bad word or action likewise stores up as a bad result. Good actions in this present life necessarily bring a happier state in the next life. And similarly, bad actions in this life bring about a bad result in similar form. In either case, there is that tie which has not been untied. Good actions bind a man with a golden chain, and bad actions bind him with spiked iron chains. But in either case, the chain is there, and he is not free. Yoga and other studies are good actions, and they give the person a better chance in the next form, but they do not give him mukti and set him free. To gain freedom, one must have neither virtue nor vice, that is, din and dunya, faith or the world, to one's credit or debit. The mind must be a clean slate to obtain that state described in an Urdu couplet. Nahum Junai mi jayenge, Nahum dosak mi jayenge. Kare deka karenge harshar me surat Muhammad ki. We shall neither go to paradise nor to hell. We shall keep standing till the day of judgment to see Muhammad's face.
Okay, we're rolling. Go ahead, Meher.
ना हम जन्नत में जाएंगे ना हम दोखाज में जाएंगे or I should say it is dozak. I also don't know the word. I will read it. ना हम जन्नत में जाएंगे ना हम दोज़ख में जाएंगे खड़े देखा करेंगे हसर में सूरत मोहम्मद की.
Beautiful.
Which means we shall neither go to paradise nor to hell. We shall keep standing till the day of judgment to see Muhammad's face. Maybe Mahu will say, Mahu, do you recognize this word here? Dozak. Na hum jannat mein jayenge. And it says, Na hum dozak mein jayenge. We shall neither go to paradise nor to hell. Dozak apparently is a new word for me too. It's hell. Okay, thank you.
Is that meant to mean hell? Dozak?
Dozak is meant to mean hell, yeah.
Okay.
Jannat, paradise, yeah, that I know.
Okay.
Dozak, hell, yeah.
Thank you.
It is actually in Persian is duzakh.
Yeah, that's what I was waiting to hear. Duzak. Maybe it's Zak.
Duzakh.
Yeah, Duzak.
Yeah.
And खड़े देखा करेंगे हसर में सूरत मोहम्मद की. So the day of judgment is called Hasar. Hashar. H-A-S-H-A-R.
H-A-S-H-A-R?
Yeah.
Where is it?
You see the
Oh.
text. Yeah.
No.
That's judgment to you? Judgment?
Ashar.
Ashar.
Ashar. Surat Muhammad ki.
So who's going to read? Meher or?
I'm confused. I don't know. Meher, are you reading?
Yeah, I will
continuing?
continue. Thanks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That'd be great. That'd be great.
This is impossible to reach without the grace of the Master. But for him, it is but the work of a moment. The vast and almost infinite impressions of a person may be likened to a huge heap of dry grass which has to be removed blade by blade, and that removing actually creates more blades. The Guru
May I
mere...
make a comment regarding the couplet before? That's important.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you,
So
Diana.
in here, of course, is translated, but particularly the second one, the second verse, this one says we shall keep standing. Yani means don't think about hell or hell or what do you think? Paradise. In other words, don't have expectation of paradise or have a fear of hell. He's saying we should keep on standing in truth till the day of judgment to see this day of judgment during Muhammad was calling Rastakhis, we call it. But after we got to know about Meher Baba, this is the day he's gonna come and break his silence. So everyone get to know him and see his face, because there's no Muhammad anymore. There's Meher Baba. So yeah, even here, so the plan is not changed. Of course, Baba is manifesting, and one day he said he'll come. So people get to know who he is. I mean, the whole universe. Anyway, I thought I'd share that.
Thank you.
Let me continue then. Blade by blade, and that removing actually creates more blades. The guru merely strikes a match and applies it, and the heap is consumed in a moment. But the Sadguru mostly only uses his matches for the members of his circle, and at the right moment brings them to his own level. However, even those who have no direct connection with him can derive the greatest possible benefit from association with him. एक गाड़ी आधी गाड़ी और आधी की भी आद संगत होवे संत की तो कटे खुद अपराध कटे खोट अपराध. To be in the company of a saint for one moment, half a moment, or even half of a moment is to be released from millions of sins. एक घड़ी आधी घड़ी और आधी की भी आद और आधी के भी आद. एक घड़ी आधी घड़ी और आधी के भी आद संगत होवे संत की तो कटे खोट अपराध. One morning, when the Mandli had finished their baths and were about to sit for the name repetitions, Baba told them that again he had not been able to sleep. The reason being the noise of hammering in the background. It was done, he said, by a spirit who always accompanied him in those days wherever he went. It was the same spirit that Bailey saw outside the Jopdi in Pune. Maharaj had entrusted it to Baba. None should be afraid of it if it were seen, nor should anyone be fearful in moving about the house or outside. Ramju had been one of those who was sent home when Baba went to Ajmer. Now he mentioned to Baba that he had run into his old friend Usman in Lonawala, who greeted him with some taunting remarks and quoted a couplet from the poet Sadi's Gulistan or Rose Garden. रफ्तां बे पाए मर्दिए हम साया दर बेहशत हक्का के बा उकूबत दोजक बराबर अस्त. Verily it is worse than the tortures of hell to walk with heaven with the feet of another. He's been taunting Ramju, I think, for following Baba. Hearing this, Baba said that Usman Sahib was sent percent right in what he said. Behsat or
No, it's
paradise.
behesht. Behesht.
Behest.
That means paradise. Oh, yeah.
Paradise.
Or paradise, it says.
Behest or paradise, he said, should be earned by one's own exertions. It should never be gained by favor or by help of another. It should be deserved. To enter paradise merely through favor or grace without deserving it is not only equal to but worse than burning in the fires of hell. Hence, as far as Usman Sahib limits himself to this meaning, he is perfectly right. If, however, his intention was to ridicule you for following me, then he has ridiculously failed. But the question of heaven or hell does not concern you at all. ना हम जन्नत के सायदा है ना दोजक से गोरीजान. Neither am I fascinated by paradise, nor am I fleeing from hell. ना हम जन्नत के सायदा है ना हम जन्नत के सायदा है ना दोजक से गोरीजान. And what is the base or what is the correct pronunciation for paradise?
Behesht.
Behesht.
Just the way it is actually spelled.
Yeah, behesht.
Yeah.
Jannat is easier. Is the Urdu word. Behesht, I think, is.
But if you are quoting from Sadi, which he did, then they need to do Behesht. Because Sadi is Persian. Yeah.
Yeah. I have held out to you expectations of something much higher than the dream of paradise. By remaining with me, you hope to find truth, God, and so fathom the secret of the universe. This knowledge is impossible to obtain without the help of a murshid or guru. Attempts on one's own in that direction are useless. The divine poet Hafiz exclaims, without a guide, don't enter the path of love. 100 times I attempted it, and each time I failed. Continuing, Baba said, Maulana Rumi, whose Masravi Usman Sahib is so fond of quoting Kurovet's Hafiz when he writes, since I see my friend throughout both the worlds, what do I care about heaven and hell and the houris?
Huris. Huris is, is based on the myth that has been given to Muslims, that when you enter the Behesht or paradise, you'll see a lot of Huris. Huris are saintly women or beautiful women. They call them Huris.
Oh.
Yeah.
By the way, guys, I don't think we really should be having these side discussions while it's being recorded.
Usman Sahib does not understand what he says. To claim that Rasul-i-Khuda will lead all Muslims to paradise is a beggary that beggars description. His case is so hopeless that instead of searching for truth, he leaves even the question of paradise for himself entirely in the hands of Rasul-i-Khuda, and at the same time insists that heaven is to be earned and deserved. Otherwise, it is equal to hell. To preach that which you don't practice is the worst form of hypocrisy. After purchasing the bicycle mentioned earlier, Asma had 50 rupees left. It was now decided to spend half of it on a treat for the Mandali, and half was given to Dr. and Slamson to buy food and clothing for the needy around Abdurrah Mahari's shrine. They were asked to also take with them a Mr. Burjori, engineer, the author of a book called Karamate Kuda. This gentleman had come into Baba's contact recently, and one afternoon, when most of the Mandali were present, Baba asked him to tell us of his state. Sitting in the middle of the hall, surrounded by eager ears and searching eyes, and quoting profusely from scriptures and literature, he said, some years ago, I was working as an engineer, drawing a good salary. Somehow I tumbled into the spiritual line and with great efforts managed to reach a stage where I could foretell important events and at times have my prayers fulfilled simply for the asking. This went on for a long time until I started to use my powers in connection with cotton prices and other forms of gambling. So I ceased from service and attended this new business. To my horror, and here he cried like a child, I found that the divine gift had escaped from me. Now, in spite of efforts greater than those by which I had received the gift, I cannot regain the intense joy and bliss of my first communion with him. I cry day and night, but there is no response from him. Although I have lost that treasure, still I can feel and perceive things unseen and unfelt by people generally, and hence I need no introduction to Meher Baba or explanations about him. He is a very extraordinary manifestation of divinity, and I firmly believe that he can restore my treasure in the twinkling of an eye if he so chooses. He is very great indeed. Baba, with Gustaji and Bua Sahib, went for a ride with Munshiji in his newly purchased second-hand car. It was bought on Naval's recommendation for only 100 rupees, and 200 or 300 were spent to get it going. Eventually it did go after all, and even climbed the Malabar Hill with but a few stops and tinkering with the overheated engine. Baba described it afterwards as a far from comfortable ride. The old engine made such screeching and spluttering noises, punctuated by occasional foots from the exhaust, that they had to shout at one another to carry on a conversation. A letter had been received by Baba from Asar Sahib with a few specimen copies of poster advertisements for Maharaj's book. At dinner time, Baba told some of the Mandali to water the playing area after 12:30. It being Friday and the Mohammedans having been strictly enjoined by Baba at the beginning of their life with him never to miss the Friday prayers, even if their lives were in danger at the time, they were in a dilemma whether to go for the prayers or water the compound. Not being able to decide, they went to Baba for the solution, but he simply told them to use their common sense. The order was after 12:30, the prayers finished at 2:00. Could not the watering be done then, which was after 12:30? The dhobi, washerman, having mixed up some of their clothes with other people's, was severely taken to task by Baba and told not to come again. But when he was found waiting in the compound, Baba told him he could continue to do the washing provided he remained in the bungalow and took in no work from outside. He would be paid 50 rupees a month. The dhobi was, of course, very happy with this. And so one more was added to the Manzil residence. About 3:00 one afternoon, doctor was called to press Baba's body. After a while, Baba said, Doctor, Terakuda Bala Kare. Doctor, may God bless you. On hearing this, doctor laughed, and when Baba asked him the reason for his laughter, replied, we generally find it very difficult to follow the drift of young utterances. Your utterances. We generally find it very difficult to follow the drift of your utterances. Your words seem to have a deeper meaning than they show. For instance, only yesterday you remarked how healthy I looked, and particularly how thick and strong my neck had become. And now today it is stiff and pains very much. He said that he was reminded of the oracles of Greece they had read about in Greek history and asked, "Were you as adept in oracular jugglery then as you are now?" Baba replying in the negative. Doctor then asked, did I read that right?
Yeah.
"Were you as adept in oracular jugglery then as you are now?" Baba asked. Replying in the negative, Doctor then asked, "How is it that time ago you told us that the worldly knowledge, education, and cleverness in a person before realization remains the same after realization?" Baba said, "What I told you was right. There are two kinds of knowledge: worldly knowledge, or the knowledge relating to the material world, nichban, and divine knowledge, achban, which one receives after having become one with God. So when a person, having become one with God, deals with matters relating to the material world, his actions and words reflect the divinity within him, although no divine knowledge is used therein by him." I want to read that again. So when a person, having become one with God, deals with matters relating to the material world, his actions and words reflect the divinity within him, although no divine knowledge is used therein by him. Hence, the utterances and actions of a person who are invested by a sort of secrecy and grandeur. This is not known by worldly people, as a ruby in the hands of a country fellow will not be really appreciated by him, although to a jeweler it will speak its value. Continuing, Baba said, "The person who has become one with God is able to make the best use of his worldly knowledge on the strength of his divine knowledge, which, however, as just said, is not drawn upon in the least. This is the difference between the words and actions of the ordinary person and those of divine personalities." Baba then asked Doctor to bring him a little oil, which he did, and Baba rubbed it into his neck and said, "After this, you will never suffer again with a stiff neck." At tea time, the matter of using the 25 rupees, which Asma had left over was brought up. Suggestions of a motor spin, cinema, or drama did not meet with sufficient majority. At last, it was decided to go for a picnic the following Sunday, where they could play ididanda and fly kites. After supper, poor old Syed Sahib's plight came into the talk. Because of prolonged illness in his family, he had written to Baba a few days earlier that his house had become a regular hospital. When he came in the evening, Baba lectured him for an hour on his complaining. In his defense, Munshiji put in, "He does not mean what he says. It is his nature to grumble." Baba immediately took up the word nature and spoke further on the question Doctor had asked in the afternoon about one's nature persisting after realization. He said the nature, or tabist, of a man after becoming one with God remains the same, but in a different light. His former anger, curses, and strong language were for himself only because there was kudi, egoism, in him. Where there is ego, there is no God. And where there is God, there is no egoism. His actions and words in the divine state have no self-motive, but the streak of nature within him remains after the final experience. When given outlet through moods, they do nothing but the greatest good to others. Wow. When given outlet through moods, they do nothing but the greatest good to others. Hafiz says that it was ingrained in his nature to see his various and different objects, but now after seeing him, he does not want to see anything else.
That the nature to see,
Marcy, can we see your beautiful face?
well, okay. It's not really beautiful right now. I was
I
gonna
want to
show-
see. Yeah, it is. It
You
is.
see me? I don't see me.
I don't see you. I don't see me. I
I
don't
see you. Is this being recorded? Stop recording till we start. Clear that the nature to see is still there. First, he wanted to see a variety of things. Now he wants to see God only. The desire to see remains the same, but undergoes a change, that of the removal of egoism. Likewise, the habit of anger and beating people is ingrained in a person, but if he becomes a saint, a gigantic change takes place in the action. It has no personal motive. It is simply an impulse with divinity behind it, and is of great benefit to the recipient. After this explanation, Baba played cards with Munshiji and some others for about an hour. Suddenly he became very excited and began abusing the Hindu members of the Mandalay in general, and Paul and Arjun in particular, because they had not.
Patil.
It said,
Patil.
oh, Patil. Well, okay. Okay, sorry. And Patil and Arjun in particular, because they had not eaten all the food that he arranged with Chowdhury to bring. He told Arjun that his house would be swept away by plague. The next day, news came by telegram that Arjun's wife had died of plague in Pune. Baba had foretold this plague 2 years earlier at Ban Burda while playing a game of Itti Danda. Some of the Mandalay recall Baba saying that the plague would begin at Ban Burda, spread towards Kasba, Peth, and then gradually affect the whole city. A few days before Arjun's nephew had died, and Baba had dropped a hint of further calamity, and now there was the news about his wife's death. He begged Baba to let him go home for 2 days. Thereupon, Baba gathered all the Hindu Mandalay together and told them that one member of each of their families would be taken, and those who wanted to return home should do so immediately. Otherwise, none should at any time talk of going home. All except Arjun said they would stay. He said in any case he wanted to go. Hardly had this matter been concluded when Gustaji, who was walking aimlessly about, butted in and so drew Baba's fire. Baba said, Gustaji, about your food. Please take it whenever you feel hungry, irrespective of the time. Gustaji replied that that was what he was now doing, trying to recreate hunger by walking about. It was a cupful of ghee that he had to take at 10 o'clock that had taken away his appetite. I don't like custards and puddings in and out of season, he said. Baba said, you keep harping on all the same thing again and again. It is this that puts me out of temper. Just do exactly what I tell you. It is because you do not pay attention to what I tell you that you make mistakes. Gustaji, you know full well that I am doing my best to please you. Sometimes I'm eating less and sometimes more, according to the vagaries of my stomach. I cannot understand why you force me to eat against my wish and will. If because of that I fall ill, who is there to attend to the petty and trifling affairs and matters in the house as I do from morn till eve? Baba, these words of you show that you have a very poor understanding. If I do not know the pros and cons of an affair, if I ask you to do certain thing, the consequence of which I am quite ignorant, then I am no sat purush at all. An earthly good can come out of
And
your
no,
and no
no
earthly
earthly
good.
good.
Good. And no
Slow
earthly
down a
good.
bit, Marcia, please.
Okay.
Could you just slow down? Yeah, thanks.
Okay. Let me breathe. Okay. I am quite ignorant. Then I am no Sat Purush at all. And no earthly good can come out of your staying with me. Gustaji, I came to you under Maharaj's instructions to listen to you and follow your orders in everything. That is why I am staying with you, Baba, and that is exactly what you are not doing while remaining with me. Hereafter, I will not tell you to do anything. You give me a program, and I will follow it. Gustaji, if the situation was really like that, I would not have come to you. On the contrary, I would have taken you to my house. If you mean to try me, then I do not see the necessity of it, since I have already suffered enough at the hands of Sai Baba and Maharaj. You are welcome to try the novices in this line. I work with them just to keep them company. Just when things appear to be going smoothly, every second of the third day, you bring up some matter and cause mutual annoyance. Such incidents damp my spirits, and I feel disheartened. Baba, having such a grand connection with me, being actually my dark side, does it befit you to suggest that my orders and actions are at random with no sense of meaning to them? I have not gathered you all here to try you. Maharaj made me sit in filth after my final experience. Where was the necessity for it? Should I have considered it as a trial? I don't intend to try anyone. I only ask you to do just what I tell you to do. In so doing, you will help my work. Gustaji, I'm always ready to obey your orders, and with a clear conscience, I can say that I have done my best up till now. Baba, don't try to read my actions. You will never fathom them. Even if I were to offer you a cup of poison, drink it without the slightest hesitation, and in doing so, you would greatly ease the burden of my work. Later on, Baba went to Doctor's room and asked him what he thought of the episode. After thinking a while, he said, "A person, no matter how keen he is about the spiritual line, without experience is, after all, human, and there is a limit to his patience and forbearing. Gustavi has at least spoken his mind." Baba said, "Gustavi tries his best to help me, but in his own way, rather than in the way I want. All can see that he is the one who looks after my comfort from morning till night, to night."
Yes, please. We're recording.
In the afternoon, glass powder, thread, cooked rice, and other necessary ingredients were distributed among the Mandali to prepare cutting thread for competitive kite flying and fighting. Baba again passed the sleepless night and was moving about most of the time. For a week now, while sitting for the morning prayers, the Mandali had heard a dull knocking sound. At first, it was thought it might be the spirit Baba had told them about earlier, but Gustaji, who, although he got up with the rest of them, was exempted from the prayers, said it was Baba knocking his head on the floor. It had been noticed lately that he had been tying a handkerchief around his head. Obviously, it was to cover a wound. He had been seen earlier to have actually shattered a window frame with blows of his head. This clearly showed that Baba was suffering greatly day and night. Yet for all that, he was as alive as electricity, as one said, and in the general management of affairs, keeping an eye on the conduct of all and their mental and physical needs, as well as sharing keenly in their sports and games. Indeed, he was the fittest and the quickest of them all in these things. Whenever he seemed worried or anxious, it was because one of them was out of sorts. The day for the picnic came round. Bajifdar had arranged for it to be at Juhu, which is on the seashore, and Mr. Narottam Morarji had offered them the use of his fine bungalow. But seeing that Baba was in no condition for an excursion, The companions told him that they did not want to go.
Hmm.
But Baba said he was going, and when they started off, he was like a schoolboy going on vacation. They arrived, and after refreshing themselves with the aerated waters they had brought, rested till lunchtime. Baba served the meal of puree, potato bhaji, and shrikund to each one with his own hands, and afterward said they should take it easy during the hot hours of the afternoon. About 2 o'clock, Baba asked Doctor to see what they were all doing. He reported back that some were lying down on the sofas, some sitting in easy chairs, some talking, and one, Vital, was snoring. Baba had him called and told him to return to his home immediately. Then he had them all called and said, "In spite of my wretched condition, I have brought you all here to give you some sort of change. It is for the sake of you all that I am undergoing all these sufferings. What does it matter to me whether I am at Daughter or here? It grieves me to find that you have no regard for me. Here I am lying on the ground with excruciating pains in the stomach while you are lounging on sofas, easy chairs. I know full well that you come from high families and have been used to all kinds of luxuries. Now that, on my word, you have discarded those things for the time being, you should not let go your hold on your mind on such as this present occasion, but at once remember the line you have taken and the goal you have fixed as your ideal. You should simply think of yourselves as being in jail for the period. That is all. You should not let your minds go to that which you have discarded for the time being the moment a chance comes your way. You do not, however, have to undergo real hardships in this line with me. You are simply required to go against your will and wish and not to do certain things which you have been doing up to your coming to me, and to do certain things which you have no liking for. For example, when you were hungry, you used to eat. Now you are asked to eat when you don't wish to have food, and not to touch it when you have a keen appetite. You used to sleep during the day. Now you are not to do so. You never did any manual labor. Here at times you are asked to work under a blazing sun. These are a few instances of going against your mind, and by them you will gradually learn to control your mind. Look at the Indian leaders like Gandhiji and the Ali brothers. For the sake of their country and its people, they have left the luxuries of liking and have been undergoing the hardships of prison life for long periods. For the sake of their country and the good things of life for all, which is a mere dream, these leaders are suffering so much. How much more should you do for God, the very source of all that is? Hafiz says that one should go out from the abode of his nature, temperament, and thoughts, for unless he does that, he can never know the love of truth. People have discarded the world and undergone untold hardships for the sake of God, but how fortunate you are that you are to realize Him so very easily. Living with me as you are considered to have discarded the whole world in spite of living in it. This whole universe, with all its vastness and grandeur, is nothing but mere imagination. In spite of so much discovery and research and so much scientific knowledge, the creation remains a great riddle. With all the latest inventions of steam and electricity, humanity at large is quite helpless against nature and its so-called freaks. The greatest warriors, scientists, doctors, and astrologers have without exception to bow low to one of nature's commonest laws, death. Everyone in the world is helpless and ignorant and is for himself, and the worldly ties of relationship are mere hypocrisy. Swami Vivekananda says, they know not truth who dream such vacant dreams as father, mother, child, wife, and friend. God is for all. Then comes the prophet and the guru. Barring these, no one in the world possesses true love. See how very anxious Maharaj is for me, always wanting me to go to Sakori so that he can take upon himself a share of the terrible suffering I am undergoing. Then the subject turned to religion, and Baba continued. The spirit of Zoroastrianism has been spoilt by its followers. It was once the highest form of Sufism. If Zoroaster were to come again in this world, he would find it very difficult to recognize his own Shariat tenets. The same is true of all religions. The mullahs, pundits, and dasturs have mutilated the original teaching to gain their own motives. After this, they all played Iddi Danda, with Baba taking part for a while, and then retiring to the bungalow, telling them to continue. After about an hour, they were all called in. Baba said he was too weak to walk back to the railway station, and so Vajif Dar was sent to bring a taxi. He told the Mandali that this illness was his fourth in connection with the circle. Baba left in the evening in the taxi with Gustaji, Rustam, Sarosh, and Jal, while the others walked to the station and caught the train to Dadar. Reaching there, they found Baba lying in the dining room in a very exhausted condition. He had had 4 more emotions since his return. While they had been away, one Abdullah H. Jaffer had come expressly from Pune on Baba's invitation to see him and had twice been turned away. He came again shortly after the party's return. Ramju went and in a low tone of voice told Baba that Abdullah Bhai had come. Thinking that he had said Abdullah Lim had come, Baba said, tell him to go away and tell him to tell Munshiji and Syed Sahib that my condition is critical and hopeless. In hardly half an hour, Syed Sahib came rushing from Charni Road, asking was it true what Abdullah had said, that Baba was in a hopeless condition and was dying? When he found out that he had acted rather foolishly, especially since his wife and children were all sick in bed, he started grumbling at Ramju as though he had been the cause of it. But since it was his wont to grumble, Ramju took no notice. Syed Sahib said that Munshiji hadn't been taken in. When he had heard the same message, he had said, if Baba's case is hopeless, it does not matter. All my hopes are in him. Baba was amused at all this and asked Ramju to write a note to Abdullah, which Syed Sahib could take back, asking him to come at once and he would see him. By the time he came, about 9 o'clock, Baba had passed 4 more stools.
When?
Yep.
Okay. I guess I'll do it from here. Oh, let me read from my book. When they got up, as usual, at 4 a.m, Baba was not seen about anywhere. But when the prayers were done, and in response to the breakfast bell, they trooped into the dining room. They found him sitting there. Save for signs of weakness, there were no traces of the previous day and night, during which he had had 19 motions. He was quite cheerful. Perhaps the, quote, fourth illness had been passed through. For breakfast, instead of their usual fresh crisp bread, there was a pile of purees left over from the picnic the day before. Using the excuse that kept over purees are doughy and it needs exercise to digest them, Baba first had them sweep the compound and then play a game of running around in circles in small batches, at the end of which Rustam and his lot were declared the winners. In the afternoon, when there was some discussion going on with some of them and Baba, the subject of ages came up. Baba said that doctors Adis and Ramjus were respectively 20, 16, and 10. When asked for an explanation, he abruptly changed the subject. So far, the expectation of witnessing extraordinary sights or sounds during the early morning prayers and repetition of God's names had enabled them to tear themselves away from the arms of sleep. But so many days had passed without a single one among them reporting any sort of spiritual experience that their prayers were no more than what the word generally means. Baramji, the awakener in the beginning, used to go the round of the cubicles calling each one's name, and each one would answer, and a moment or two later appear. Now the awakener himself came with half-opened eyes, calling in the tone of an exhausted gramophone, while waiting for the replies took lightning naps leaning against the doorpost. Nor was it uncommon that two of them, still drugged with sleep, bumped into one another in the darkness, lit only by the light of 2 to 3 feeble lamps. In the two bathrooms, the scene was even more pitiful, as each one nerved himself for the first mug of cold, cold water to the accompaniment of strange noises in strange languages. Doctors indeed, almost sounding like a mantric formula. Sheen, shak, shoka, followed by a peculiar hissing sound as the water poured down. So the devotions and expectancies, sort of mania in cleanliness set in. Everyone started washing things and sweeping and dusting. It probably began when the Mandali noticed that Baba was observing strict cleanliness, using a lot of soap when he took his bath, insisting that his clothes, bedsheet, and towels were scrupulously clean. He had his own kitchen corner set up, and Gustaji cooked his meals separately. This was in great contrast to the beginning of the stay there. At that time, twice a week, Baba used to clean with his own hands the gutters running from kitchen waste and the privies, allowing no one except Gustaji to help him. Later on, he allowed some of them to partake in this work. It was strictly enjoined on them not to sit on the bare ground, but to sit on mats. Formerly, even in wet weather, they could sit or even lie on the ground if they wanted to. Water was not to be taken from the chadis or water pots with their glasses, but with a dipper provided for that, and then poured into the glasses. Shoes or sandals should not be worn in certain areas, and wooden slippers were provided outside the latrines to be put on before entering. On top of all this, everyone had to kill about 50 mosquitoes every day so as to get rid of these fever-bearing insects. This provided many funny scenes. At any odd hour, in nooks and corners, hunters could be seen crouching and springing and clapping, trying to make up their bag for the day and as quickly as possible. There was no trace of recurrence of the recent illness, and Baba was very cheerful. He told the Mandali that he felt very fresh after 1.5 hours sleep, and he attributed that to some ghee Maharaj had sent by Patil to be massaged into his head. In the afternoon, Baba told Doctor to remind him at supper time to tell them all about an exciting game that was going to be played. Just at the moment that Doctor was going to remind him, Baba asked him not to speak or make any sound until the meal that just had been brought was finished. But when the meal was finished, Baba said that Doctor had not carried out his order of reminding him about the explanation, and so it was postponed. Doctor objected that he had not forgotten. On the contrary, he was eager enough to remind Baba, but at the exact moment he had been gagged by a fresh order. Baba said that the second order simply made him be silent. He could still have reminded him through signs. Everyone agreed with this, and in the end, Doctor pleaded guilty to an unintentional disobedience. As soon as the plates were removed, Baba asked all to play Dapa Dapi, and this was indulged in heartily for half an hour. In this game, which is played with a tennis ball, the players sit round in a square. The one who has the ball throws it at the head of another, and he catches it and throws it back, or at someone else's. Full liberty is given to throw as hard as one can, but without malice or anger. And Baba, as target, was not exempted. He and Doctor were reckoned the best throwers. He for his terrific speed, and Doctor for the way he cunningly twisted the ball and concealed its direction. One morning, the alarm did not go off, and they all were 10 minutes late in finishing their baths. Baba made a great scene of this, telling them that their prayers were canceled. For the next half hour, there was dead silence throughout the Manzil, waiting for the hurricane to unleash its violence. When such moods occurred, Baba seemed to possess the unstoppable progress of a steamroller and the energy of lightning. How that apparently fragile body contained these was a mystery to all. However, nothing happened, and Baba asked them to go to their rooms and repeat God's name as usual. In the afternoon, Baba asked Doctor and Adi to put 2 sitars, which were lying around, back in their cases. The others wondered why, until a decomposed rat was found in one of them. It being reported to Baba, he told someone to wash the case out thoroughly with fennel, he himself helping him. He explained to them with great emphasis that unless strict cleanliness was observed in all things, a serious disease would break out in the Manzil. He had Doctor write on the notice board. A dead rat was found in one of the sitar cases when the sitar was being put back into it. This shows that a serious disease like plague is likely to invade the place unless it is kept scrupulously clean as already ordered. Merwan. But shortly afterwards, the notice was rubbed off before many had read it, lest it cause a general stir and fright, and the following was written in its place. Tincture of iodine should be applied on ringworms, pimples, and other skin troubles. Merwan. In the evening, Ramju, Doctor, and Adi were sitting on the front steps, talking about nothing in particular, when the topic turned to their present situation and how gradually Baba was making things more and more difficult for them. Lately, afternoon tea had been stopped, hours of sleep curtailed. They had to forcibly stuff their stomachs after eating their normal fill, but no fresh bread for breakfast. And so many new minor orders like the killing of mosquitoes. They were feeling resentful about it all. Doctor said that he felt Baba's grip on him tightening and getting stronger day by day. Hardly had he said this when Adi was called by Baba, who was in his room upstairs. Then Doctor and Ramju were called. and Baba began reprimanding Doctor for not doing any work himself and at the same time trying to make others idle too. He kept at it for some time and ordered the three of them not to talk to each other for 10 months. After a while, he asked them had they felt anything. Adi and Ramju said they had. Doctor said he hadn't. On the contrary, he was wondering how, with his faulty memory, he was going to remember this new order all the time. Thereupon, Baba canceled the order to Adi and Ramju, but told Doctor he was not to speak to anyone in the manzil for 10 months. Ramju was ordered to write the following on the notice board. Everyone in the bungalow is strictly forbidden to talk or have any communication by signs or through writing with Dr. Merwan. At supper time, Baba again enjoined on all not to have any connection with Doctor and to act as though he were not there. Baba himself, having stopped conversation with Doctor, asked Gusad to ask Doctor had he felt anything. When he replied that he hadn't, Baba became more excited and began shouting at Doctor, saying that if he, Baba, was anything, he would surely make him feel. Then he had the following written on the board beneath what was there. If Doctor has any sense of shame, he will leave the bungalow at once. During this excitement, Baba asked them had they received their money order receipts. Hearing this, Doctor went to his room and brought the receipts that remained to be distributed and gave Ahmed Khan and Kodi Ram theirs, which they accepted, thereby breaking Baba's new order of no communication. Seeing this, Baba now turned on them and ordered them to leave the place as soon as possible and take Doctor with them. Ahmed Khan broke out in a sweat, and Kodi Ram looked bewildered and lost. After a little while, Baba excused them, accepting their plea that they had not properly understood the order. Doctor wouldn't budge from his position, despite all the excitement. Baba changed tactics and said, I have ordered you to go to Pune, but I am not sending you away for good. You can let your things remain in your room here and come and stay with me one day each month. Your connection with me will remain intact, and I shall surely do for you what I have to do. Doctor replied, I am bound to follow your orders, but I don't like the prospect of living in Pune and being with you only one day a month. I do not know how I will fill in the time there. Baba said, this shows that you have felt my order. And Doctor said he had. Whereupon Baba asked him to write on the board, Doctor is excused because of his admitting that he had felt. Merwan.
Good